I'd like to welcome everybody here and to thank very much Jeff Brown for hosting us today on the 17th of November at the Mount Warning Pub in Yukon. I acknowledge that we are on the land of the Bundjalung people who have cared for this country for thousands of years, and I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. And I thank Jeff Brown for hosting us and also for speaking out to the media about the dangers of the Cayuga Road. We're here to put a human face on roads fatality statistics. And we're here to make real these three beautiful people from three generations who died on a bend on the Cayuga Road on two separate occasions, 9 months ago and a year and 10 months ago. One of those beautiful people was my husband, Carl Heinrich, who died on February the 6th this year. I'd like to introduce my dear friend, Dr. Laurie Moran, who is an international road safety expert based at the University of New South Wales, and a dear friend of my husband's and mine, Nicholas Kurthoys, who is recording this event. Thank you both for coming. We're here also to commemorate the World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims, which is Sunday, the 20th of November, coming up. The World Health Organization estimates that 1.2 million people, die from road crashes that could have been prevented annually. When Cecilia Bevelander lost control of her car on a bend near Braeside Drive on January the 22nd, 2015, she lost her life. And we have one survivor of this crash here today. Thank you so much for coming. It's wonderful for you to show support for road safety in the Tweed Shire. Also lost was her 15-year-old daughter, Matilda, who would have graduated from high school this week. Theirs was a head-on collision. Our car aquaplaned on the slippery road surface and tumbled 40 meters into the Tweed River. Carl, my husband, drowned in front of me. I tried to untangle him from his seatbelt in the muddy water. I miraculously escaped with minor injuries. After Cecilia's and Matilda's deaths, the coroner recommended two things: a reduction in speed and a resurfacing of the road. Tweed Shire Council took 18 months to change the speed limit. They spent the money on investigating whether the coroner was right about fixing the road surface. And the minor repairs that they made to the road without a complete resurfacing have not been resilient, stood the test of time, or actually stood up to the vehicle traffic on this road. That slippery, damaged road with the wheel ruts and the eroded surface near the fog line killed my husband, shattered my dreams, and ruined my life. I hold Tweed Shire Council responsible for Carl's death because they did not implement the coroner's recommendations. They instead blamed driver error and speed and took the cheap option of lowering the speed limit and putting up warning signs. And they refused to listen to my victim impact statement because it might upset the council's traffic and engineering staff. We're here today to put pressure on the council to fix the road, to properly fix the road in a permanent way that saves human lives. They've applied for federal funding to do this, but that could take years. If their application even is successful, there will be 500 applications for road funding for black spots in New South Wales. We want that road fixed now. I'm going to hand over to Dr. Laurie Moran from the University of New South Wales to talk about what a leading practice road safety approach could look like for this road and for rural roads in the Tweed. From me, the message is clear. Cecilia, Matilda, and Carl, 3 generations, died because of poor road design and maintenance. That happened in the Tweed Shire. They were real, beautiful people. People who had families, who had connections, who had lives, who had people who loved them. Other people were seriously injured and deeply traumatized by the terrible crash that occurred in 2015. These are people, they are not statistics, they are not so-called fatalities. Their deaths did not have to happen. Thank you. I'll hand over to Dr. Laurie. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. I too wish to pay my respects to the Bundjalung people on whose land that we meet today. The Tweed no doubt has many roads with sharp bends in a subtropical area. You don't have to be an expert to see that a speed limit of 80 kilometers per hour is too high on this type of road. In Carl's case, police estimated his speed was at 50 or 60 kilometers per hour at the time when he lost control of the car. The road was wet, but it was not raining at the time. He knew the road well, but misjudged the speed that he could manage on that fateful bend. I understand that the police also suggested that had a guardrail been in place, Carl would probably not have died. My colleague, Professor Rafael Gilberta at the University of New South Wales, is a global expert in road barrier systems. He can advise you that there are now very effective barrier technologies that are available for all road authorities such as Tweed Shire Council. My first thoughts about the conditions in which Wendy and Carl had their crash were that this is a classic systemic safety management failure of the road. In 2004, all Australian transport ministers agreed to adopt a safe system approach to their road safety efforts. This means that roads would be designed and managed such that human errors would not result in serious injuries. After many decades of road safety research, we know a lot about all the factors that cause serious injury in road crashes. We also know what to do about eliminating these factors. Australian road authorities at state and local levels may not be able to eliminate all crashes until vehicles are all fully automated, but they can provide an environment that eliminates serious injuries. Regarding the needless deaths of Cecilia, Matilda, and Carl on Kyogo Road, Tweed Shire Council seems to take a victim blaming approach. This is at best very old school. We know that in over 90% of fatal crashes, human factors are involved. But hey, guess what? We now know that humans make mistakes. While managing human behavior in the road environment is an important aspect of pursuing road safety, the safe system approach demands a forgiving road environment. The ethical principle underpinning the safe system approach in Sweden's Vision Zero is that people shouldn't have to be given the death penalty for mistakes that they make on the roads. Here we are, more than halfway through the United Nations declared Decade of Action for Road Safety, and road fatalities are rising rather than dropping. The safe system principle that was actually developed in Australia was adopted unanimously by UN member states to underpin the global plan of action for road safety in this decade. In this context, the attitude demonstrated by Tweed Shire Council is shameful. I advise this council that regardless of whether or not they get more federal funding, they must fix Kyogo Road. On Sunday, World Day of Remembrance of Road Traffic Victims, let us all reflect on whether we as a community will continue to sit back and watch quietly while friends and families of these victims grieve their losses. That's all I have to say.
That's Sunday the 22nd, is it?
Sunday the 20th.
Sunday, this Sunday, yes.
20.
Yes.
Do you have anything else?
There's a website you can have a look at.
So if you're interested in more information about the World Day of Remembrance, you can go to their website. The actual Memorial Day is Sunday, the 20th of November. And I just want to end by saying that essentially what we're talking about here is an ethic of caring. That we understand that any road authority has financial constraints. That's been explained to us, to Laurie and to me and another colleague by the Tweed Shire Council. We understand that. We're grown-up professional people and we understand there are financial constraints. What offends us is the blaming the victim philosophy that this council has taken and the quick and easy default to the notion that driver error and speed were the major factors. This is clearly, from the experience of our friend who's come as well, a terribly dangerous local road. My husband and I would be together and he would be alive had there been a simple guardrail there. And the first thing that the Mawilumba police said to me in the ambulance was, your husband would be alive if the council would install a guardrail along a kilometer of road. This was their suggestion. So we're asking for an ethic of caring. We're asking for a responsible, up-to-date, sophisticated road management behavior from this rural shire, and we're asking for it now before anybody else dies on that road. Thank you. I'm standing here in front of this photograph of my husband, who lost his life on this corner. And I'm begging the Tweed Shire Council to implement a more caring approach to road safety victims. We are not statistics, we're real people. Carl, Cecilia, and Matilda, who died in that exact spot within 1 year of each other. These were real people with families, with lives, with jobs, with schooling, with dreams, with hopes. Matilda was to graduate this week from high school. These lives were cut short by insensitive and unsophisticated road planning by this local road authority. I'm begging the Tweed Shire Council to take into account the fact that real people are dying on their roads, and to implement the coroner's recommendations, and to be more proactive, more sophisticated, more up-to-date in their approaches to road planning. Thank you.